G9B, basic dipole and monopole antennas. G9B01B. What is a characteristic of a random wire HF antenna connected directly to the transmitter? A. It must be longer than one wavelength. B. Station equipment may carry significant RF current. C. It produces only vertically polarized radiation. D. It is more effective on the lower HF bands than on the higher bands. G9B02B. Which of the following is a common way to adjust the feed point impedance of an elevated quarter wave? Ground plane vertical antenna to be approximately 50 ohms? A. Slope the radials upward. B. Slope the radials downward. C. Lengthen the radials beyond one wavelength. D. Coil the radials. G9B03D. Which of the following best describes the radiation pattern of a quarter-wave ground plane vertical antenna? A. Bi-directional in azimuth. B. Isotropic. C. Hemispherical. D. Omnidirectional in azimuth. G9B04A. What is the radiation pattern of a dipole antenna in free space in a plane containing the conductor? A. It is a figure 8 at right angles to the antenna. B. It is a figure 8 off both ends of the antenna. C. It is a circle, equal radiation in all directions. D. It has a pair of lobes on one side of the antenna and a single lobe on the other side. G9B05C. How does antenna height affect the azimuthal radiation pattern of a horizontal dipole HF antenna at elevation? Angles higher than about 45 degrees? A. If the antenna is too high, the pattern becomes unpredictable. B. Antenna height has no effect on the pattern. C. If the antenna is less than 1/2 wavelength high, the azimuthal pattern is almost omnidirectional. D. If the antenna is less than 1/2 wavelength high, radiation off the ends of the wire is eliminated. G9B06C. Where should the radial wires of a ground-mounted vertical antenna system be placed? A. As high as possible above the ground. B. Parallel to the antenna element. C. On the surface or buried a few inches below the ground. D. At the center of the antenna. G9B07B. How does the feed point impedance of a horizontal 1/2 wave dipole antenna change as the antenna height is reduced to 1/10 wavelength above ground? A. It steadily increases. B. It steadily decreases. C. It peaks at about 1/8 wavelength above ground. D. It is unaffected by the height above ground. G9B08A. How does the feed point impedance of a half-wave dipole change as the feed point is moved from the center toward the ends? A. It steadily increases. B. It steadily decreases. C. It peaks at about 1/8 wavelength from the end. D. It is unaffected by the location of the feed point. G9B09A. Which of the following is an advantage of using a horizontally polarized as compared to a vertically polarized HF antenna? A. Lower ground losses. B. Lower feed point impedance. C. Shorter radials. D. Lower radiation resistance. G9B10D. What is the approximate length for a half-wave dipole antenna cut for 14.250 MHz? A. 8 feet. B. 16 feet. C. 24 feet. D. 33 feet. G9B11C. What is the approximate length for a half-wave dipole antenna cut for 3.550 MHz? A. 42 feet. B. 84 feet. C. 132 feet. D. 263 feet. G9B12A. What is the approximate length for a 1/4 wave monopole antenna cut for 28.5 MHz? A. 8 feet. B. 11 feet. C. 16 feet. D. 21 feet.